I stood on the riverbank watching my bridge drift past me in pieces, railings, snapped beams spinning in the current like broken bones, and for a few seconds I didn't even breathe. I thought an HOA had finally crossed the line and destroyed something I built with my own hands. Then the county investigator behind me said very calmly, "Mr. Cole, this bridge doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the county. And your HOA just committed a felony." I'm Evan Cole, 43 years old, the kind of guy whose hands never quite lose the scars from years on scaffolds and job sites. I've spent most of my life building things that were supposed to last houses' decks, retaining walls, sometimes whole neighborhoods, and I've learned something along the way. Structures fail for two reasons: bad materials or bad leadership. And the woman running Oakage HOA, she was the second kind of failure wrapped in pearls and a laminated badge. I live just outside the reach of Oakage, right where the paved road gives up and turns into gravel. 5 houses sit out there with me. No HOA dues, no monthly meetings, no fines over trash cans or mailbox colors. That freedom mattered to me more than I realized at first, because it meant when something needed fixing, we fixed it ourselves. 2 winters back, an ambulance tried to reach my neighbor Luke's place during a snowstorm. The main road iced over like a tilted skating rink, and that rig got stuck for almost 10 minutes. 10 minutes doesn't sound like much until you're standing there watching red lights flash while someone inside a house is struggling to breathe. Everyone made it through that night, but the message stuck with all of us. We needed a better way in and out. There was a narrow stretch of river behind my property where a short bridge could cut our drive time to town in half. The land there belonged to Hadley County, not me, not Oakage, not anyone's HOA fantasy. So we did it right. Permits, surveys, environmental assessments. I sat through more county meetings that year than weddings in my entire life. We paid for the construction ourselves, and when it was finished, the county signed the paperwork and took legal ownership. Public infrastructure. End of story. Except nothing is ever the end of the story when a Karen decides it isn't. The first time Karen Hart saw that bridge, she reacted like someone had dropped a casino in her backyard. She stood at the end of it with her clipboard chin raised, tapping her pen against the paper like she was counting my sins. "This wasn't here before," she said. And yet I told her the world keeps turning. She didn't laugh. Karen Hart never laughed. Her hair was cut into that stiff blonde bob that looks like it could deflect hail, and her lips were always pressed tight like she was holding back disappointment with the entire human race. She tapped her laminated HOA badge and said, "I'm the one who keeps this community from falling apart." I didn't bother pretending to smile. My property wasn't in her community. That fact ate at her. Within a week, flyers started appearing on trees near the bridge. Unauthorized private bridge. Dangerous construction. Oakage compliance officers. 2 guys in matching polos, they probably ordered online, showed up and started taking pictures from every angle. They whispered things like non-standard fasteners and unapproved railing height as if saying it quietly made it more official. I let them. I stood there with my hands behind my back and watched. Calm isn't weakness. Calm is preparation. Every flyer went into a folder. Every time they trespassed, I logged the date and time. I knew exactly what the county record said, and I assumed that eventually reason would catch up. That was my first mistake. One afternoon, Karen marched down with those same 2 men and announced, "We're conducting an inspection of your private structure." "It's not private," I said, "and it's not mine." She tilted her head. "Then who does it belong to?" "The county." She scoffed loud enough to make sure her crew heard it. "You don't expect anyone to believe that." I smiled. "Doesn't matter what they believe. Only matters what's on record." For half a second, just half, I saw something flicker across her face. Uncertainty. Then it hardened into something uglier. She spun away, muttering orders like she was already planning the next move. Things escalated fast after that. A local reporter named Jenna Blake showed up with a notebook and a camera. She'd heard whispers about HOA trouble brewing over a new bridge. I walked her through everything: the permits, the build, Karen's little campaign. She nodded, scribbling notes like her pen was chasing the truth. Her article ran the following Monday. Bridge approved by county. Built by residents. HOA opposition raises questions. Karen refused to comment, which told the whole town exactly what she didn't want them to know. That night I checked my security feed like I always did. I had to rewind it 3 times to be sure I wasn't imagining it. There was Karen out under the bridge just past midnight, crouched with a flashlight whispering into her phone. She wasn't inspecting anymore. She was planning. A week later, I saw Oakage HOA's budget summary posted publicly. Buried deep was an $11,800 line item labeled Hazard Mitigation. No vote, no explanation, just Karen's signature. I remember sitting at my kitchen table staring at that number, feeling something heavy settle in my chest. This was the point where doubt crept in. I wondered if I'd pushed too hard. If I should have just let the bridge go, let Karen win, kept my head down. I'd built things my whole life, but I'd never gone up against someone who believed rules existed only to serve them. For the first time I felt tired, not angry, tired. Then came the morning, everything snapped. I noticed it first by the silence. The river usually hummed under the planks. That day there was nothing. I walked down the path and stopped so hard, dirt kicked up around my boots. The bridge was gone, not damaged. Gone. Chunks of cedar floated downstream like stripped carcasses. The sign I'd carved, Riverside Crossing, lay snapped in half against the bank. Heavy tire tracks cut through the grass. I checked the camera. 4 men in reflective vests. A flatbed truck with a crane. They dismantled the bridge in under 40 minutes, tossing parts into the river like trash. One man kicked my sign loose and laughed. The demolition order on the foreman's clipboard bore the county seal, but the ink was wrong, and the signature at the bottom was Karen Hart's. I didn't throw the chair I was sitting on. I didn't swear. I leaned closer, hit pause, and saved every frame. 5 minutes later, my neighbor Luke called. His voice was shaking. His wife Anna had collapsed with severe abdominal pain. With the bridge gone, he had to take the long road. The delay nearly cost her life. That's when the anger settled. Not hot, cold, steady, focused. Karen thought she'd humiliated me. She had no idea what she'd actually done. I sent everything to Hadley County that afternoon. The footage, the permits, the flyers, the fake order. Investigator Lauren Chu arrived before sunset. Quiet, precise. She reviewed the evidence and looked at me like a blade finding its edge. "Mr. Cole," she said, "Oakage HOA believes this bridge was your private property." "Feels like it," I replied. She snapped her notebook shut. "That's not what they destroyed. This was county infrastructure. That's a felony." The follow-up article hit the next morning. Oakage HOA destroyed what they believed was a private bridge legally owned by the county. Karen doubled down anyway. She held a community meeting announcing they'd removed an unsafe structure. Her voice shook not with fear, but frustration. Reality wasn't bending. 2 weeks later, Hadley County filed charges. Hadley County versus Oakage HOA and Karen Hart. I was listed as a witness, not a victim. The victim was the county, and that shift hit Karen like a falling oak. The courtroom smelled like stale coffee and old carpet. Nothing dramatic until Karen walked in wearing pearls and a smile stretched too tight. Her lawyer claimed she acted responsibly. The prosecutor slid a document across the table. Hadley County, ownership clear as day. They played the footage, the demolition, the forged seal, Karen's midnight visit, her signature. The judge looked at her. "Did you verify ownership before ordering demolition?" She hesitated. "We were confident." "Confidence is not law," the judge said. "And ignorance is not a defense." The verdict came back fast. Guilty of falsifying documents, guilty of destruction of county infrastructure, guilty of misuse of HOA funds. Karen was fined, barred from HOA service permanently, and Oakage was ordered to pay damages, including for the emergency delay. Outside, Karen stood alone, clutching her purse like it might shield her. No clipboard, no authority, just silence. I walked back to the river that evening. The county would rebuild the bridge stronger this time, concrete and steel. But standing there in the cold air, watching the water carry the last scraps downstream, I understood something simple. Some battles aren't won by shouting. They're won by letting the truth do the cutting.